Hi and welcome to Clickteam Fusion 2.5 episode 4. Last episode, episode 3, we looked at loops, which I hope you agree are incredibly important for creating games and applications. So far we've just made games, but today's episode is all about an application that we want to build. The application is going to be a keyword scraper, and we're going to be using strings, the string parser, and edit box, and we're also going to use a button as well. So all the stuff that you need to understand how to use to build an application and actually to build a game, or to build some games. So what is a keyword scraper? What do we need? Well, we need, first of all, somewhere for the user to put in a block of text. Now that could be a YouTube description, it could be a blog, it could be anything, any amount of text. So we need to have an input, an edit box for them to put that into. Then the user is going to press a button, and that button will process that text. It will grab that text and look through it and look for keywords, and we're going to look at how to do that in this episode. And then we need another edit box for the keywords or tags or whatever you want to call them to be outputted. Now this is basically an algorithm. It's a way of getting from something to something else. Now with all algorithms, they can always improve. Google, for instance, have constantly improved their algorithm for search and for understanding what good content and bad content is. So the one we're building today is a basic algorithm. It will show you, it's a good way of understanding what a string parser does, what edit boxes do, how to use them, and how Clickteam Fusion 2.5 interacts with them. But you can always improve this. So this isn't a finished product. I wouldn't recommend necessarily using the one we do today for all your videos, for all your blogs, for everything. So let's get started. So we're going to start Clickteam Fusion up. Okay, I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to go to this frame 1. Now this is all we're going to be using today. We're not going to be using any other frames. So I'm going to double click somewhere and I'm going to type in edit box. Double click and put it down. Now an edit box as standard is just a single line. Now that's not going to be very useful because we're anticipating the user putting in an awful lot of text. So the first thing I'm going to do is make this wider by so I clicked it and then clicked it again. If you double click it, it doesn't work. Or it does on this one, but sometimes it opens up a properties panel. So just move it over there. I believe you can right click and do resize somewhere there. I'm sure more astute people will be able to find it. Currently I'm not sure I can find it. Okay, so I made it wider. Now what I want to do is make it bigger this way, and I can stretch it and it looks like it's going to work, but it actually isn't. By default edit boxes are one line, that's all you get. So however much you extend it downwards, it's not going to use that space. The option you want to extend it downwards, the option you want to click is this one, multi-line, and when I click this you can see that Clickteam put some dots in there to show that it's going to use up all this space. Okay, if I run that now, then we can see what an edit box is. I can type some text, and normally with this I write some, highlight it, press Ctrl and C, and then just Ctrl and V to paste it. And you can see what's happening. So it's multi-line. So you can imagine a user putting in a lot of text in there. But what if we run out of space? Let's have a look at that again. And let's try and run out of space now. So paste, 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 and I can't add any more. The computer complains. So we want to find some way of allowing the user to put in a little bit more text. So vertical auto scroll. Let's click that. So I've clicked edit box and in the properties, vertical auto scroll. So let's see what that does. And there we go. So the user can put in as much as they want. But the user might be down here and think, oh hang on, I've made a mistake earlier on. Now the user can highlight it and move up and down by highlighting, but what's nicer sometimes is to have a vertical scroll bar. So let's have a look at it with a vertical scroll bar. Let's paste the stuff in, and you can see the scroll bar reacting to the amount of content it has in it, and the user can easily scroll to the top. So that's the basics of edit boxes. There's other stuff in here. Password will hide what the user's typing in. So if they're typing in a password and someone's looking over their shoulders, it stops that person from seeing what their password is. So it's quite useful if you do a login, for instance. There's some formatting options here which I'm not going to go into in this video. Read only will allow you to display content but not allow the user to change it, and this is for countries where it's right to left reading. And these two do the same as what I've just done but for left and right. Okay, and again they're quite good for if you want to put in a web address, and normally web addresses are quite long, so if you do the horizontal auto scroll, it allows the user, just like on your browser, but the horizontal scroll bar is not as useful for a lot of things but still has its uses. So that's that all done. So the user now can put their text in, but we need a button for them to click, so I'm going to double click. I'm just going to type in button, and it's this one here. Now this button is quite a clever thing because it's not just a button, it's a whole load of things. If I use this drop down here which says type, so I'm going to click on the button. It's actually a checkbox, radio button, bitmap push, I can't even say it, bitmap push button, and text and image push button. I normally use it as a button. I don't find the checkboxes very good. I think there's better ways of doing it, and radio buttons, I think there's better ways of doing it, but the button is absolutely fine. So at the moment it says empty. Now I want something that like go or find keywords. So if I make it a bit bigger, double click it and type in find keywords, so the user knows what this button does. Now I also need an output edit box, so I'm going to I could just use this one. If I right click and clone, then I could just use this one, highlight both of them and just press up on the cursor to sort of shift them up. Now I might want a bit of a gap there. These videos are not about formatting necessarily, but I'll try and make it look a bit nice. It doesn't look fantastic, but it will do. Now I want to click on that and I want to change the name to input text, and again I'm using camel case, so lowercase first word and then uppercase everything else. Again, you can leave spaces in Clickteam, but just not in any other language. Click on this and I can say find keywords button, so I can see it's a button from any view, and then click on this and just output. By naming these, it means when we go to the event editor, you know what the things do, which is really important, and it makes life so much easier. So that's everything we need from a graphical point of view. I don't really need the user to be able to interact with that, so what I can do is do the read only, and let's just see what that does. So if I try and type in there, it's not letting me, but I can type in this one. Now what you might be thinking at the moment is, why have I made that an edit box? Why can't I make that a string? The problem with strings is you can't highlight them and copy them as it is. You have to create a function, create a method of copying the text to the clipboard for the user, so I'd need to include another button. By doing it as an edit box, the user can select the keywords and press Ctrl and C or right click and click copy, so they can copy the stuff instantly and put it onto YouTube or their WordPress blog or whatever it is that they're using. Okay, so let's go to the event editor. So the only interaction that the user will have with our application is that button. and that button will grab the text that the users put in and then process it. So the first event, and in fact the only real event from the user's point of view, is that button. Where am I? This button here. Okay, and I just want to say if the button's clicked. So if the find keyword button is clicked, I don't need to listen out for what they've put into the text, into the edit box. So they can do what they like until they press the button, and that's when I'm interested. Okay. Now we need a string parser. Okay, so we can't really go any further without doing it. Now, for a lot of you, I double click on the frame. If you type in string parser here, it won't be there, and it's not there because you don't get string parser by default. What you've got to do is click Manager, which brings up, and this is all online now, so it's connected to the internet, and type in string parser, and you need to install. It says reinstall because I've currently got it on my computer, but if you haven't got it, you just click the install button there. It will hover for a second and then it will install. Annoyingly, there's not a message saying it has installed, but you just expect it has. Close it down, and then if you type in string parser in here, well, it already come up, string parser. Double click, and then just put it anywhere, and just accept the defaults and press OK. Now, when I first used objects like this, I got very confused. Some of the objects that are in Clickteam Fusion 2.5 and previous Multimedia Fusion Click and Play, some of the objects you put down, but they don't actually do anything. They just sit there on the frame at the top left, and they have no interaction with the frame at all. The reason for putting them down is it allows us to do stuff in the event editor. So this string parser here is actually doing nothing. If I put it in the middle of the frame, if I put it here and open up the application, it's not there. It doesn't exist. All of the functions that it has are all for the event editor. So let's go to the event editor. Okay. Now I want to add another condition, and I want to say at the start of frame. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I need that string parser to have a bit of information at the start. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add what we call a delimiter. So if I click on string parser, right click, go to list tokening, delimiter, add delimiter. And I'm just going to do a quote mark with a space. So it's just a quote, space, quote. Now to understand what I've just done, you need to understand what a delimiter is. Delimiter is not just a Clickteam word, it's a worldwide word when it comes to strings in programming. What a delimiter is it's a thing, a character or characters that denote the end of something and the beginning of something. So with a normal sentence, to denote the end of a word, we leave a space in the English language, or some punctuation. If you think about Microsoft Excel, you can get something called, you can save files as something called CSV, which is comma separated CSV, comma separated values. So what that is on the Excel file, you have loads of commas between each of the cells in each row. You can get tab delimited files as well, and actually we could go into those in later videos of understanding how to import basically spreadsheets and use them as basic databases. We can also look at how to use SQLite as a database as well. So delimiter is where something ends. Now what I'm saying to this string parser is I want to break that text up into individual words, and the way I know to do that is to use spaces. So I just break that big text apart into each individual word, and that's what this is doing. So the string parser is all set up, but when that button's clicked, I want to create, as we learnt this in episode 3, a loop to store what's going to happen next. So we have done this before, and this is going to be keyword grabbing loop. You can call it anything you want as long as you make sure you call it the same in the event. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm just going to do it once. So I'm using this loop more as a group, which we haven't covered yet. So I'm going to just use a loop. And what this will do is when the button's clicked, I want a whole load of stuff to happen. So instead of cramming it all on this line, I'm just going to start a loop once called keyword grabbing loop, and that's going to allow me to put all of my events in. Okay, so what do we need to do first? Well, we want to load the text that the user's put in into the string parser. So what I'm going to do is right click and say set source string. Now that says, right, this is the string I want you to play with, string parser. And I'm going to go to the input text, right click and say get text, get what the user put in. Okay, so it's got the text, but it hasn't got anything else. It's not being told to do anything with it. It just remembers it's got that text and has already split them up into the words, but I haven't asked it to do anything else, so we need to ask it to do something else. So what I can do is, for now, I can set the text. So I'm going to the second edit box, the output, and I'm going to set the text, which I never remember what it is, editing, set text. And I'm going to grab the first one it returned. So list tokening, get first element, and that's basically get the first word and output it. So let's see how that goes. Application. So the cat sat on the mat. So when I click this, what it should do is split these up into the individual words, separated by those spaces, but it removes the spaces, and then just output the first one. So it should say the word the, and it does. And I can control and copy that. Can I not copy that? I can copy that. I can't right click and copy because it's, no, I can. Yeah, it is highlighted. Good. That's always good to know. Okay. So that doesn't actually help us much, but we've got it into words now. Okay. So what I want to do now is actually do a proper loop. I want to go through each of those words. I want to go through all of those words. So I actually didn't need necessarily to do a loop here. So what I'm going to do is say, right, I've done that. So I'm going to start another loop. I'm going to call this the word loop, because this is going to loop through all of the words that the string parser has. And I'm going to say, well, I want to do this with the amount of words that the string parser has got. So right click on the string parser, list tokening, and get number of elements. Get all of the stuff that you've got and loop through them. So that's done. And now I'm going to click and drag this down so that I don't have to, and then double click it so I don't have to go through, right click and find the on loop there. So we've got the word loop. So this word loop is going to go through however many words there are that many times. Okay. Now try and think about what a good keyword will be. Well, a good keyword in my head is probably long. It's probably not a short word. Now that's not going to be perfect, because actually you can get some really good keywords, like if you're thinking about TV, ITV, BBC, ABC, Fox, all of those are small words and they are keywords because they describe what you're doing. So I'm going to just use the length first. So I'm going to insert another one. I'm going to say, right, I want you to have a look at the current word that you've got. So what I want to do is compare two general values, and we've used this before. This allows us to compare anything with anything else, string or value or anything else. Okay, and I'm going to say, right, I want to get, so list tokening, I want to get an element. I want to get the current word, so where am I? Fast loops, get loop index, paste. So get the current word for that loop, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this cut it, and I want the length, so I'm going to go to special, strings, length of string, and then I'm going to paste it in there. So get the length of the current word that we're looking at in the loop, okay, and if it's greater, then, well, when would an interesting word appear? Well, maybe 5. Then do what we're going to do next. Just a note before I carry on, the string parser is not 0 based, which is very, very frustrating and annoying and tedious. It's 1 based. The loop index, loops, are 0 based, so I need to add 1 there, otherwise it won't work. And I'm going to grab this and copy it, because I need that in my, I'll need to output that. Now, so I right click on the output, do it as I did before, but the problem is this time is that loop's going to keep going through and find more and more words. Now, I don't want it to overwrite what was there, I want it to keep what was there each time, so that I end up with a lot of words. So the way I do that is find out what's currently there, so get text, then I do this add, and normally keywords separated by commas, so I'm going to add a comma there, and all strings have to have the speech marks around them, and then I'm going to put in my new word. So click OK, and I'm going to run the application, but I'm going to use Wikipedia, and I'm just going to type in a random Wikipedia BBC, why not? And I'm really just using this to get some text. Okay, let's just copy that, and let's go back to my application, right click, paste, that's all worked very well, and find keywords. So you can see that there's an awful lot of words in there. Now weirdly, it's included the return, the line breaks, which I wasn't expecting. So it's included the line breaks. That could be to do with formatting. It's also included some links that WordPress has on when you copy and paste things. So if I go back to WordPress, those little 11s it's copied. So what I want is just a normal bit. There we go. Just copy that. And let's restart this, which I can press that one to restart it. Let's try that out. Okay, that's better. Alright, so the problem straight away is it started off with a comma, but you can see all of these words are interesting words. International, 24-hour, English language, services, BBC.com, global, and there's quite a few things there. It's missed out the by, it's missed out the. Now that's a really quick step into keyword scraping. I've used all of the things I wanted to use for this video, but if you wanted to extend this application to make it even better, things that you could do is create a list object, which I haven't gone into yet. Have the list object have the 150, and in fact Wikipedia has an article on 100 most common words, and have that in your list. Have it compare the current word to that list and see if it's in it. If it's not, then it might be a keyword. Things also you can do is see whether things have capital letters. So if you look at the article, English might be a keyword, so it's got a capital E. London and America might be keywords, or company names, places, people are normally keywords which have capital letters. So you can use advanced sort of stuff, which I didn't want to go into on this episode, to just check for capital letters to find the keywords. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I've been trying my best to do this once a week, and I think I have done so far, but only just. If you have enjoyed this video and you enjoyed other videos, please click subscribe. And if you like this video, please click the like button. I really appreciate people who have done that already. I've already had some comments to ask me to cover specific topics, which I absolutely welcome, and I've penciled it in for later videos. If you have anything else you want me to go through or anything else you want me to do a video about, please message me or put it in the comments at the bottom of the video, and I'll see if I can pencil it in at a later date to cover. Some of the things I've been asked to do have been really, really good, really interesting, so I'm looking forward to doing them. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you.